to solve. I'm excited to be here. I want to dig right into it and get started with a conversation about the managed cloud and what that means. There's a lot going on in cloud computing everywhere I go, everywhere I spend time talking to customers and prospects and technologists. The topic always comes back to cloud computing, what people are doing with it, how they're using it, how they're scaling, how they're taking advantage of cloud to make their business better. But one of the conversations, ultimately the conversations always kind of lead back to a question that we like to ask, and that is, who is going to manage your cloud? I think cloud computing is certainly already taken off in a big way, but I think there's so much more ahead of cloud in terms of adoption, in terms of use cases that customers want to use it for. And oftentimes they're just challenged fundamentally with this question about how am I going to do it? Who's going to manage it for me? And that's really what I'd like to try to help you understand how Rackspace is addressing that question and helping customers. The cloud market is evolving. There is no doubt about it. It is a very fast-moving, very fast-evolving set of capabilities. Companies are jumping in, sometimes with varying degrees of success. But I think that we're seeing this cloud market evolve very quickly into two main categories. We call them unmanaged and managed. We sort of see this split happening right before our eyes. The unmanaged cloud is something we also refer to as the do-it-yourself cloud. It's the cloud where you take your credit card, you swipe it, you get access to those resources, but then you find you're on your own in terms of the management and the day-to-day operations. The other option, as I mentioned, is the managed cloud. We call that the do-it-together cloud at Rackspace. The do-it-together cloud is ultimately about Rackspace being in the ring with you in terms of managing that cloud and helping you along the way. Here's a little bit more depth on that. I mean, ultimately in the do-it-yourself cloud, it's about the provider's technology and your people. Whether you have those people on your own team, on staff, or whether you reach out to a third-party consultant to find those people, some sort of agency maybe, ultimately you're trying to put together an equation for your cloud computing, and it's a do-it-yourself model. You may end up being in the driver's seat of mediating between 2 or 3 or more providers and having to sort that out and manage all of the complexity and the moving pieces. That's difficult. In the do-it-together model, Rackspace is in that sort of position of mediating all of the resources, all of the people behind the scenes to make that cloud work for you. We bring together specialized offers, capabilities, tools, and platforms with the expertise, our rackers. That's what we call Rackspace employees, rackers. So when you hear that term, that's what you'll understand, is that it's about bringing those rackers and their expertise to the table to make sure that we're helping you be successful in your cloud. So it comes back to that question, who is going to manage your cloud? That I want to dig now just a little bit deeper into sort of the trends maybe behind why cloud computing is evolving so quickly. Let's talk about the market forces at work. Cloud infrastructure prices have dropped rapidly. Last year was probably the year where you probably even saw that in the headlines, where cloud competitors, cloud operators were basically competing with one another to see who could drop the prices the fastest. And I think what that led to was real opportunity for companies. This was good for the companies that were the consumers. Low prices meant they could do more. I always get excited when I see the prices drop because all manner of new applications start to show up, and that's exciting. But the unfortunate part is it brings new complexity. When prices go down, people buy more and they use more, but the number of tools and applications that go along with cloud computing start to proliferate. You start to see new DevOps tools, new cloud monitoring and management tools. There's companies up here that are making new operating systems to host containers. You see platforms for all manner of day-to-day operations and management. And that's hard to wrap your head around when there's new tools flying at you every day. One of the websites I monitor is a website called Hacker News. I read it every day, and every single day there's something new on the horizon that I have to go sort of sort out and figure out how Rackspace is going to either use it or wait on it. And that's hard for a company with limited resources and limited time on their hands. So as the number of tools goes up, the complexity goes up. And this is businesses that are trying to solve business problems, not trying to solve technology science projects, but real business problems. They don't have the time or the energy to spend their time on those kinds of activities. Those complicated tools are coming at us. The expertise to run and operate those is hard to find. The demand for the skilled engineers and the talent to run those platforms, the demand's going up, and therefore the price is going up. It's hard to find these people. Rackspace has gotten to the point where we're a great place for these people to grow up because they can learn from other engineers. But if you have a team of 1 or 2 or 3, you're really in a position where those people have to come with those skills already built in. They have to have them or learn them very quickly, and then it's hard to hold on to those people. So, I think it's challenging for companies. We talk to companies that are very large. Sometimes they're, sort of old world companies that don't have the ability to attract those up-and-coming superstar, rock star engineers. Other times it's startups that just don't have the budget to do it. So with all of these kind of forces coming together and defining the cloud era, prices dropping, cloud tools going up in numbers and complexity for business growing, and the demand for those engineers, I think that really leads us back to that split in the market, the idea that someone is going to try to do all of that themselves and others are going to rely on partners or companies like Rackspace to do it. And we're not the only ones starting to see this trend shape up before our eyes. The analyst community is starting to see this split happen as well. So this is what's known as a Gartner Magic Quadrant. You've probably seen these before. This is the Gartner Quadrant on what they call cloud-enabled managed hosting. Cloud-enabled managed hosting is another word for managed cloud. We have positioned ourselves quite well in the quadrant as a leader because we jumped into this early. Rackspace has been on the leading edge of managed services, managed cloud. Back in the old days, it was called managed hosting, but we've been doing this for many years. We've got expertise in it. It's in our DNA, and I think that we saw that this was going to be a real demand in this next wave of computing. That next wave is leading to a huge market. I think just to understand sort of the size of that market, we actually work with a research firm called 451 Research. They are a leading analyst firm. And Michelle Bailey did some research with her team. Some of the other folks on the team also helped figure out the size of the market. Managed services at cloud providers is growing very rapidly. In 2014, they estimated $17 billion. In 2018, it's going to be $43 billion. It's growing very quickly. It's going to be 3 times the size of the market for the infrastructure-only segment of the cloud. And managed service providers, the revenue will grow 60% faster than infrastructure-only revenue. And it's because there's more to it. There's more solution to it. There's more outcome for the end customer. So we're excited to be a leader in this space, helping define it, drive it, lead it forward. I think that the things that have made us a leader, I talked a little bit about our service and our expertise and the idea of managed services, but we've taken that a step further and we've started to actually define some areas of focus so that customers understand what to come to Rackspace for. What do you use Rackspace for? So we've broken up kind of our service and support models into what we call practice areas or solution areas. Digital is one of the key areas that we're focused on. Digital is really, think about that as e-commerce or content management or the things that are helping companies become digital companies in the future. Data is everything from relational databases like Oracle to MongoDB to Redis and Hadoop and Elasticsearch, all these data platforms that companies want to take advantage of to give them advantage over potentially their competitors or just give them better insights into what their customers want to know. Cloudy applications that are either growing software as a service applications or portals or really all manner of web applications. That's kind of the core of what Rackspace does. Cloud Office is another area that's really kind of cool because it's the collaboration tools that make companies work. It's the email, it's collaboration. Yesterday, in fact, we announced a new relationship with Microsoft where we're supporting Microsoft Office 365 right next to Google Apps and right next to all of the other platforms that Rackspace builds in and supports in-house. And last but not least is IT transformation. IT transformation is really private clouds that are helping large enterprises, mid-sized enterprises, make their transition from the old way that they did infrastructure to the more modern, agile way that they want to operate in the future. So private clouds based on VMware Microsoft, and OpenStack are all available in the IT transformation category. So back to that question, I'm going to end kind of where I started on the idea of who is going to manage your cloud. I think that is the question you should ask yourself throughout the day, and hopefully you start to see sort of insights into that question as you see our presenters today. And speaking of presenters, we're going to start the day off with a gentleman named TJ Kitt. TJ is a senior analyst from Forrester. He's going to talk about your company and your competitiveness and how it's tied to how quickly you can share and take advantage of information. Then we'll hear from Mark Cuban Companies. Mark Cuban, everybody knows Mark Cuban. He's the guy on Shark Tank, super innovative, creative guy. He is obviously, with those companies running through Shark Tank, investing in high growth companies, people that have an opportunity to break out potentially, and he wants to make sure that those websites don't crater on their first big day. And so he comes to Rackspace with all those companies to make sure that on the night those shows air, we're ready to scale and make sure that we have a playbook that was born really at Rackspace for how to run and operate those companies at scale. Then we'll hear from Showpitch. Showpitch is a company that's all about sharing information in the entertainment industry. It's a brand new company, they're just starting, but it's a community that connects content creators with aspiring talent. They're going to talk about how Rackspace DevOps has accelerated their application development workflow and getting them to market very quickly. And after that, we'll hear from a longtime customer who's coming from Spain to speak to us. It's a company called the e-commerce group. They've worked with Rackspace and our partner AlertLogic for a very secure environment for their e-commerce sites. We'll also be joined by our own Chief Security Officer, Brian Kelly. He's going to be on the stage to talk to the folks at AlertLogic and e-commerce group. Tinder is here. Everybody knows Tinder. It's the dating app that has taken the world by storm. They're going to talk to you about how Rackspace's Object Rocket MongoDB platform has really helped them scale to over 1.7 billion events a day, ratings of potential dates a day. So Tinder is a very cool company. Then we'll hear from Metadecision. Metadecision is a large Object Rocket customer as well. They've transformed their software as a service business into a large single environment at Rackspace and really consolidated. IDC is here. The vice president at IDC, Melanie Posey, a longtime friend of Rackspace. She's going to come and join us to discuss the changing cloud consumption model and deployment trends and how they're going to affect you. So she's going to go a bit deeper into some of the things that I might have touched on today. Last but not least, DialSource, and they're going to come and talk to us about how they connect call center agents with the hottest leads with the help of Rackspace. The combination helps an organization like the Sacramento Kings basketball team dramatically improve their ticket sales with DialSource. So that question again, who's going to manage your cloud? I hope you start to answer that question throughout the day. You'll hear a lot right here on the stage, right outside in the Solution Pavilion, and talk amongst yourselves 3 ways to solve. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the day with you. Thank you.